Welcome to Creepypasta Theater, a show where we explore the strange world of creepypasta. Join us as we hear tales best left untold, travel roads best left unexplored, and see sights best left unseen. It is summer. This is the time of the year when many people decide to explore the great outdoors. Just remember though, when you are out there hitting the trails, please pay attention to the signs. Chances are they were put there for a reason, as we shall see in today's story. Do not continue over 1 mile up the path. Author unknown. This story contains some profanity. Listener discretion is advised. This story can be found on creepypasta.fandom.com and is protected by Creative Commons license. It was a normal camping trip. Was. My friends, Malachi, Eric, and myself went up into the wilderness outside Estes Park. At the trailhead, there were no cars in the parking lot and a piece of laminated paper nailed to one of the trees. Do not continue more than 1 mile up the path. The words were written by a clean hand in large block letters. We assumed the sign was an old sign put up after the massive flood that damaged many trails a few years back. About a mile up the trail, the next sign appeared. Same sort of thing. Laminated paper, clean block letters. But this one was a little less explainable. This area under constant surveillance. Thick forest all around. No cameras, cables, or anything man-made in sight. Well, other than the path cleared through the trees and the laminated signs. The trail was fine, so if it was damaged by the floods, it had been repaired. So we continued. Another mile up, we found another sign. This one was torn, showing only a few letters. Turn Rev. The tear was jagged, and 4 cuts of the same shape showed on the bark of a large spruce. The marks were almost an inch deep and oozed fresh sap. We were beginning to get uneasy. Eric fished the bear spray out of his pack. We came to a consensus that bears probably wouldn't bother us and trotted further up the trail. Eric swiveling around nervously with the spray in his hand. It was getting dark and we needed to find a place to camp. About a 1/4 mile further up, we came to a small clearing and decided this was as good a place as any. While Malachi and I were setting up, Eric watched for bears. Suddenly, a rustling noise came out of the trees, followed by a loud, quick yelp and a clatter, and another, louder rustling noise at the other side of the clearing. We spun around quickly. "Jesus!" I heard Malachi yell. Eric was gone. The can of bear spray resting against a rock. A series of large scuff marks led from the spot Eric had stood to the trees. no new footprints were anywhere other than the solitary pair left by Eric, which meant that whomever or whatever had stolen Eric had launched itself out of the trees, grabbed him, and dragged him into the forest in less than 1 second, covered a distance of about 15 feet, and did so without touching the ground. What the fuck? I asked nobody in particular. Malachi was shuddering and sitting on the ground, babbling about how it took him, and that we're next. I pulled him to his feet and we ran. A loud roar echoed through the forest, sounding like an air raid siren crossed with a wolf's howl. A rustling sound followed us up the path in the trees to the right, then suddenly passed over to the left and stopped. Malachi's hand jerked in mine and pulled for a second, then came back to normal. "Malachi, you okay, man? You trip?" I yelled. No response. "Malachi?" I realized there were no footsteps running with me. I stopped. Malachi? I slowly turned around. Malachi's hand was still in mine, only his hand, wrenched off at the wrist, dark red blood steadily dripping off the severed appendage onto the dirt path. I screamed and dropped the hand. The leaves began moving off to the right. I froze, waiting for whatever the fuck this thing was to grab me too. Only it didn't jump out. It strolled out. It stood about 8 feet tall at the hip. All 6 hips. 6 hips that led down into graceful, horse-like limbs that ended in 3-toed feet with sharp claws. The body was deer-like, but the 3 pairs of legs spaced evenly across and a long, slender tail stretching far back into the forest. The head was crocodile-like, with 3 sets of eyes perched on a long, S-shaped neck. The neck stretched down to meet my eye level. I could see its jaws were red with blood. It croaked out something that sounded extremely similar to human speech. "Leave." It didn't have to tell me twice. I bolted, waiting to feel the jaws on the back of my neck. They never came. As I turned, I ran and saw it, standing there, watching me. It took me over 12 hours to stumble back to the trailhead, disoriented and exhausted. As the sun began to rise, I came across the "This area under constant surveillance" sign. As I came up behind the tree, I noticed words on the back of the sign in a much smaller, lightly colored font. I tore the sign off the nail and nearly shit myself. The text read, "But not by anything human." You have been listening to a presentation of Point of Insanity Game Studio. Visit us on the web at www.poigamestudio.com. Follow me on most social media sites at POI Game Studio, and check out my music channel on YouTube at Al Seeger Music.